Story number 1. I was looking forward to a night of movies and junk food with my sister. Now I'm crawling through a tunnel for my life. "Don't go!" exclaimed Anna. I was used to ignoring my sister's orders and descended further down the well. Our parents weren't home, and there was no better time to explore this abandoned-looking well we stumbled across in the basement. There was a plank covering it before, so we never noticed it, but tonight it was slightly uncovered. "We got the movie tapes we came for, let's leave!" shouted my sister. "Oh, come on, I wanted to see what's down here," I replied, irritated. There was something sparkling down there that had caught my eye, and I wanted to see what it was. I reached the bottom of the rungs, and was about to turn around when the basement bulb decided to fuse. My sister squealed in the darkness. "Find the torch!" I shouted. Moments later, a beam of light shone down the well. Batman in the making, I thought to myself as my eyes adjusted to the now dimly lit well. "I heard the door shut! Dad will be down here any moment! Come up!" shouted my sister. I decided to ignore my sister as I turned around, fumbling for anything shiny. Straining my eyes, I shouted, "Move the light around! I almost got it!" The beam of light began tracing a slow circle around the well as I followed it. I had circled half the perimeter when I saw what had caught my attention. My blood curdled as the light slowly traced the outline of a butcher's knife, covered in blood. After that, I heard everything. The flickering of the bulb high above, the faint panting of my sister as she circled the light, and every trickle of groundwater somehow beneath the muddy bottom. About 3/4 through, I saw a thin crevice, wide enough for me to fit. Still afraid, I bent down to see what was inside as my curiosity got the better of me. It widened beneath, and I could see a faint light filtering through a hole about 3 meters inside. I could have crawled into it, but something was blocking my way. I inched closer to get a glimpse of what the thing was. Then the outline became clear. It was a silhouette of a person, lying sideways on top of another body. With trembling hands, I turned the blood-soaked body around, and the expressionless face of my father stared back at me. I stared back equally blank, not needing to turn the other body under his to recognize my mother. I stayed bent over the bodies of my parents until a scream jolted me back to reality. "Dad's coming down the stairs! You better hurry or we're both dead!" my sister shouted. I looked up at her blankly as I saw her look behind at the bottom of the stairs. The screams that followed as her figure disappeared, along with the torchlight, hardly registered as I stared up at a flickering bulb above. For the smallest second, a face peered down at me, breaking into a smile as the figure unscrewed the bulb before lowering itself down the ladder, closing the lid over it. I know not where this crevice leads to, or how my parents got down here, or whatever's chasing me up there, but I've been crawling through this crevice for 25 minutes now. I figured it led to the surface somewhere near my house, since that could be the only way that thing could dump my parents down there and then make it up, right? I was wrong. As far as I could tell, the tunnel only seems to go one way. My instinct told me I was pretty far from my house by now, so I stopped touching and feeling around for an exit. The path ahead seems to slope downwards. It's getting harder to find my footing inside absolute darkness. I'm exhausted, and I'm taking a chance resting on a ledge. I wish to tell my story before I descend further and my phone loses its charge or can't find network. It is completely still, but the darkness is making me anxious. I feel like any moment that face is going to emerge from the darkness. I do not wish to wait any longer. Time to push on. Story number 2, Unwanted Visitor. My sister and I had always had a great relationship, you know. The ones where you chase each other around with frying pans, whilst the other one begs for mom and dad, and then 5 minutes later you're fine and talking about the cute boy in your school. Yeah, that's the kind of relationship my sister and I had. Growing up, I was the oldest of 7 siblings, which undoubtedly was a whole lot of us. Thankfully, they were split up between my mom and dad. I don't know how I'd survive if they weren't. My sister and I, however, we always shared a bond that was much closer than my other siblings. We were only 18 months apart in age, so we grew up doing all kinds of things together before our younger siblings were born, the next one being born when I was almost 5 years old. All throughout elementary and middle school, she was my mini-me. And of course, we had the typical, "You're wearing my shirt, give it back" arguments. But it never lasted for more than 5 minutes before we were back to loving each other again. I had stopped seeing much of my sister once we got into high school. I decided to live with my mom and her with my dad. We'd still see each other in the hallways at school, sometimes on holidays, but really, it felt as if we had already grown up, moved out, and lived our separate lives. We stayed in touch a lot over text. That was our only lifeline, it seemed. I've since graduated high school and I now live on my own. My sister has done pretty much the same. She's graduating next month and lives with her boyfriend. We still text and call as if we did when we were in school, which I guess was why I was surprised when I heard a knock on my door today. Opening it, to find my sister standing there. "Well, this surely is a surprise. I wasn't expecting you. Please, come in," I greeted her, much as if she were an old friend. Of course, at this point she really was. I haven't seen her in so long. We sat in my living room, just chatting away about everything we missed out on, when I must have made a mistake. "Is Pat not with you today?" I asked her. Immediately she went pale and froze, as if she saw a ghost. She went silent for a few minutes before quickly muttering, "No, he's not." "Oh, okay. Sorry I asked," I breezed past. Maybe they had broken up or were going through a rough patch and she didn't want to tell me. I'd been there a few times myself with my exes, so I got how hard it was to touch on the subject, especially when it was sprung on you. I tried to steer the conversation back to anything else, but my sister remained uncomfortable for the rest of our interaction. I felt bad for even opening my mouth in the first place. "I'm gonna go use the restroom really fast, but please help yourself to anything. My home is your home," I addressed to her before getting up off my couch and making my trek to the bathroom. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket as I reached the bathroom door, shutting and locking it behind me. I pulled my phone out as my sister's name flashed on the screen. That's odd. Why didn't she just holler at me? Why text when I'm right here? I laughed it off before unlocking my phone and reading the text that was sent. "Hey, just wanted to text and catch up. It's been a while since I heard from you. Call me sometime so I know you're not dead, okay?" My eye flicked on the words on the screen 3 or 4 more times before a small gasp left my throat. This had to be a sick sort of joke. It had to be. My sister was downstairs right now. Couldn't possibly be my sister texting me. I glanced over at my bathroom door, suddenly 10 times more uneasy than when I had entered the bathroom, to see a line of light coming from underneath the door, blocked by 2 shadows of what I can only assume are feet. I can't bear to unlock the door and be face to face with my sister, but there's no windows for me to escape from in here either. I'm afraid to call the police in case she hears me, but what would I even say? My sister is in my house, but she's not really my sister. She just looks like my sister. Yeah, right, because that's believable. Besides, my phone is almost dead. It's only about 3% battery now. I can only hope that my fiance comes home before my sister realizes I'm not coming out of the bathroom. Lord only knows what she'll do to me then. Story number 3. She's there. Where my story is beginning is not where it began, and the ending hasn't yet to begin. It starts in the evening, soon as it hits dusk, almost once the sun has completely vanished. The first sign that there's tension in the air. Awkwardness, a cliche feeling of being watched but immensely intense. Comparable to stage fright, but with no one around. Once I noticed this, things got progressively worse. Nausea sets in. Anxiety pulsates through my body. Cold sweat takes over. I know she's near. I've been experiencing these encounters for several months now, but last night shook me to my soul. Arriving home from work with my mind far from the events I've been experiencing on and off, I pull into my driveway to see my front door closing. So subtle I doubted myself, and if I truly saw what I saw. It was about 8 p.m. The sun was just setting, Visibility was low. Still, I crept around to the side to see if I could catch an intruder in my house. Nothing. I moved around back, peeking in my slightly open window like a perverse freak seeking a glimpse of someone that could be in my home. I catch a wretched smell wafting through the screen. Immediately struck with nausea, I ran to the bush and vomited. The smell was horrible, sour like a garbage can in mid-July at the same time it burnt, stinging my nose with every breath. As I stand there catching my breath, wiping my mouth, I hear a laugh come from inside. A giggle. Spinning towards the window with the intent to see whatever made fun of me, the only thing I saw was the curtain. Determined to finally get some answers, after several months of being antagonized and spooked, I stormed through my door with confidence, only to find nothing. No one. Used to this outcome, I wasn't surprised. This is usually how these events have been ending, but I didn't realize this particular event wasn't over. Proceeding with my night, I enter my kitchen to make myself some dinner. I get everything out on the counter and prepare to start, but I was so distracted when I got home I forgot the bag of groceries I left in my car. I ran outside to grab it. When I came back inside, I was smacked in the face with that foul-ass stench again. Holding back from getting sick, I approached the kitchen only to find the meat and veggies rotted, molded black in seconds. It was impossible. I couldn't believe it. I walked away for 30 seconds only to find my food decomposed. Completely disgusted and no longer hungry, I threw all of my food away. Not just the food on my counter. All of it was bad. The food in my fridge, my cabinets, even the freshly bought groceries I had brought home. Rotten, molded, sour. I was done for the night. I cleaned up the kitchen and got ready for my shower. A little on edge, I wanted my mind somewhere else and my phone close by, so I put on Pandora and got into the shower. 30 seconds into my shower, my music stopped. I opened the curtain to find my phone lit up, unlocked, and Pandora paused. Knowing I'd closed and locked my phone, I pressed play and continued with my shower. Just as I start to wash my hair, it stopped again. Covered in shampoo and my eyes closed, I got pissed, flung open the curtain to pad at the back of the toilet where my phone sat to blindly hit play again. What happened next dreaded me to my core. Just as fast as I swung open the shower curtain and stuck out my arm, I felt a long stream of hair whip around and hit my body. As if a woman was standing there, startled, and turned around with urgency to exit. Pushing through the pain of soap-soaked eyes, I busted open immediately to see who was in my bathroom. There was no one. Downright uncomfortable and totally freaked out, I finish up and head to bed. My house is relatively old and not well insulated. The ductwork has all been redone, so all the old floor and wall vents are straight open to the basement. This causes a chill to creep up from down under. Now, I'd like to say this is the reason I completely covered myself and my bed in blankets, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't because of the shower incident. Also, keeping my light and TV on, I slowly started to drift to sleep. I became conscious, not opening my eyes, but mentally becoming aware, trying to think what could make this metal clinking noise. Starting to sweat and panic, thinking of the horrible hair sensation I experienced in the shower, my adrenaline kicks in. Boom! I open my eyes and sit up as fast as I can to finally get answers of what has been tormenting me. And nothing. Relieved that there wasn't a hairy monster standing over my bed ready to devour me, I fall back into my bed, exhausted, quickly falling back asleep. I wake up to the strange metal noise again. I lay here still to see if I can figure out what it is and where it's coming from. I hear it again. It's coming from my right, on the wall, close to the floor. The cold air intake vent. That's it. That's where it's coming from. I sit up, bust open my eyes, and look directly at the vent. Overcome with fear, dread, and the most intense feeling of horror I've ever felt in my life. She's there, standing in the basement, looking directly at me, smiling through the metal vents, tapping her fingernail. Thanks for checking out this video. Please subscribe as I put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at DanScares and Instagram at DanSMachinayT. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.